It's now my pleasure to have this opportunity to introduce our keynote presenter, Lisa Delpit. A MacArthur Genius Award winner, Lisa is both an author and an educator. She seeks to explore often unrecognized cultural divisions and inequities in schools and how they affect students of color. She is dedicated to providing first-rate education to communities in both the United States and abroad. Delpit's work on school-community relations and cross-cultural communication was cited when she received her MacArthur Fellowship in 1990. She also received the Award for Outstanding Contribution to Education in 1993 from the Harvard Graduate School of Education, which hailed her as a visionary scholar and woman of courage. In 2003, Delpit received Antioch College's Horace Mann Award, which recognizes contributions by alumni of the college who have won some victory for humanity. And of course, Lisa's name was mentioned by many of our award winners as being an influential presence in their professional development as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me Lisa Delpit.
Taped down. I can't move that. Even if we just close it, it would help. Talk amongst yourselves. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for the work that you're doing. I'm so honored to be here to have heard about it. I want to just talk a minute about multicultural education or culturally responsive education. I think it is the biggest challenge, but it's the most rewarding intellectual opportunity that exists for us as human beings. And I just want to mention, Sonia, what's the name of your new book that's coming out?
Thank you. Finding Joy in Teaching Students of Diverse Backgrounds.
Right, I'll repeat that. Finding Joy in Teaching Students of Diverse Backgrounds. And the reason why I want to mention that is because that's what it is for me. I mean, I find a lot of joy in doing this kind of work. It takes a lot of humility to learn to see the world through the eyes of others. It's exciting, it's challenging, it's demanding, but it's also wondrous. When I was in Alaska, I learned so much. I taught in Alaska, and I learned to see through the eyes of some of the Alaska Native folk who I worked with. I learned, for example, the difference between looking, touching, and listening compared to seeing, feeling, and hearing. In looking, touching, and listening, it's sort of like you are the agent. You're taking agency. I'm touching, I'm looking, I'm listening. But in seeing, feeling, and hearing, you're part of the world, and the world comes to you. Or rather, you're open. I won't say the world comes to you. You're open to the world. An example, when I was in Alaska in a village, there was mostly Alaska Native kids, but there was one little white kid who was the child of one of the teachers. And the geese were coming back, and that was always an exciting moment. So the teacher took the kids out to look at the geese returning. And all the Native Alaskan kids could see the geese in the distance. And the little white kid couldn't, and he was so frustrated. And the teacher was a Native Alaskan teacher, and she said she came and looked at him, and what he was doing was this. He was looking. What the Native Alaskan kids were doing was this. They were seeing as the world came to them. These kinds of differences and new ways for me to present, to be in the world, are such a gift. And I think whenever you're working with children from cultures different from your own, and sometimes from your own culture, but there's always a difference in perspective from the kinds of backgrounds perhaps that they are from and you are from, you are led to an expansion of being a human. So in studying other cultures, I've also been led to traditional African thinking about education. Asa Hilliard in Sabah, The Awakening of the African Mind, talks about traditional African pedagogical systems that emerged thousands of years ago but still exist in traditional cultures in the African continent. And one of the things that it says is that the cosmos is divine, and humans, as a part of the cosmos, are also divine. And our role, the purpose of education, is to help people move forward, move higher in their divinity and in their perfection. So the aim of African education for the mind is not separate from education for the body. The body is a divine temple housing a spirit. So the education for mind, body, and body are also linked to educating the spirit. The role of the teacher in teaching to develop divinity is to appeal to the intellect, the humanity, and the spirituality of his or her students. But in order to do that, the teacher must be convinced of the capacity of the people they are faced with, their inherent intellectual capacity, their humanity, their physical capability, and their spiritual character. Pierre Ernie in Childhood and Cosmos said African societies want to determine who and not what a child is. Who is this unique being, not what we see on the surface. When a baby is born in our society, we tend to say, oh, what did she have? How much does it weigh? Are they all healthy? Athabascans in Alaska say, who came? If we really want to educate low-income and culturally diverse children, I believe we must learn who the children are and not focus on what we assume them to be. At risk, learning disabled, unmotivated, defiant, behavior disordered, limited English proficient. If we focus on the limiting labels, we teach children to limit who they are and who they can be. We all say all children can learn, but I believe the reality is all children do learn, and what they learn is what the larger society believes them to be. They learn it and they believe it. The title of the book I recently published is Multiplication is for White People. And that title came from an African-American child saying to her tutor, so, Miss L, how come you're trying to teach me this? Black people don't multiply. Black people just add and subtract. White people multiply. Now, the reality is no one has ever said that to this kid, right? I mean, I can't imagine this kid was ever in a situation where those words were uttered. And yet, living in the society in which this kid lives, this is the message that Lawrence, I think you alluded to. This is the message that this child has internalized. So we have to, as educators, figure out how to fight against those messages that the children who are marginalized may sometimes bring with them. And that is the learning who a child is at a much deeper level than what the child knows or does not know. Asa Hilliard also said there are two kinds of questions, type 1 questions and type 2 questions. And type 1 questions that's the question we ask in school. And that question basically says, do you know what I know? Now, type 2 question, type 1 question asks that. A type 2 question is, rather than asking, do you know what I know? A type 2 question says, what do you know? That's the question we have to ask in school. And that's the question that can lead us to educating all children. And this is the kind of question that culturally relevant teaching embodies. It allows us, when we find out or we ask, what is it that you know? It allows us to see the brilliance, the divinity in the children before us, to see them as inherently capable of learning, because we engage in the intellectually stimulating task of uncovering what their brilliant minds have already learned. We use what we have already learned, all of us, as Yvette mentioned, to connect to what additional information we want them to acquire. By seeing them as already knowledgeable, capable, brilliant, we know at a very deep level that they have the capacity to learn whatever we might want to teach them. It becomes our intellectual challenge to understand our subject area well enough and our students well enough to shape content into forms that meld and conform to the frameworks that are already established in the minds of our charges. And these frameworks have been created by the exciting and unique worlds that they have inhabited prior to appearing in our classrooms. Make no mistake, however, if we cannot do this, despite all of the new standards, despite the Common Core, we risk generations of children who believe that multiplication is for white people. When I visited Southern University, where I'm working now, but when I visited there many years ago prior to working there and spoke about some of these issues, one of the young student teachers came to me and said, I'm glad we're talking about this because I don't know what to do. I had one of my 8th grade male students, African-American students, came to me and said, so Miss Summers, they made us the slaves because we're dumb, right? So I believe that if we are not convinced and manage to convince our students of their inherent ability, that Common Core will simply become an empty hole through which all of our expectations for achievement will disappear. If we don't take time to know students and build relationships, standards just don't work. Teachers have often said to me, and I think about what you just asked there, or say to me, we don't have time for all that relationship stuff. We don't have time to get kids to learn about their families and to get into all of that information. We have to focus on test prep. We're at the bottom of our school district, and we have to focus on the test prep. And my response always is, how's that working for you? The reality is, if we don't focus on all of that, that may seem like fluff, we're not going to get to the other stuff. The reason why your kids can do so well is because you know deeply who they are. there is, while I was in Alaska, I also had the opportunity to spend a lot of time in villages and to work with Native Alaskan healers. And they work on many different levels. But one of the things that all of them said to me in one form or another was, I cannot heal you unless I know you. And I believe that we in education can take something from that. I cannot teach you unless I know you. On this auspicious occasion, I just want to give thanks and praise to our honorees, Lisa, Anna, Darnell, Robert, and Lawrence. And I want to say, and I want to keep this short so that we can maybe discuss a bit. You enter your classrooms obviously armed with deep knowledge of your subject matter. But you are not blinded by what you know. You're also aware of what you don't know. Unlike many of us educators, you do not enter solely with content, with an understanding of Common Core standards, or with lists of best practices. You enter every day, I believe, with the humility to learn. You enter every day with the question, who came? Thank you very much. So I was short there. If you want to have some comments or questions. Maureen, you want to monitor that, or you want me to? And I'm happy for coming. Are you coming? What happens now? Now you got to tape your book back again? Okay. So.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Do we mark it? Phew. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa, for closing this exploration of culturally responsive teaching on a very meaningful note. Thank you. And now I would like to invite the awardees back to the stage. Come on up. Yes, I'm afraid some surprises. Thank you all for all the work that you do with the children in your schools every day, and thank you for giving us such inspirational models that will help educators in schools meet the needs of diverse learners. Everyone, please join me again in congratulating the 2012-2013 winners of the Teaching Tolerance Award for Excellence.
Thanks so much, everybody, for this terrific day, a celebration and inspiration. I wanted to also let our online audience know that we really appreciate your questions. They've been really informative, and there's been a great back-channel chat for those of you who've been keeping in touch with that. It's been really moving. We have a resource page for you at edweek.org. This is a bit.ly we've provided you here, so it's your bit.ly and then it's TT Awards. For those of you who can't see it, we have the information in the back for you in the room here. But for those of you online, this is the place you can go to get all of the resources, including the videos that you saw today of these wonderful awardees. And you'll be able to come back here and see the archived version of this event, including Lisa Delpit's amazing, just inspirational speaking moment here. It's been a real honor for Editorial Projects and Education to be able to have the opportunity to put these events together with the incredible leadership of Maureen and her team, Michelle, and Michelle and Valerie and everybody. I wanted to set a real shout out to them for their work down out of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and a just tell you how important it's been. Last year we had Sonia Nieto leading off with a really inspirational moment with some incredible teachers last year, and this year has just been another remarkable year. I hope you'll all be able to join us downstairs on the 9th floor for a reception that we'll be holding with these good folks here, and we'll be running till about 6:15, assuming the snow hasn't shut Washington down. So anyway, thank you so much. I want to remind you there is the evaluation form, so if any of you have your feedback, we'd love your feedback for you all in the room here. Thank you so much. We'll see you down on the 9th floor. Thank you so much for celebrating teaching tolerance, everybody.